A lot of times people think, I hear this a lot, my sales team is awful, I need a CRM. Well, if your sales team is awful and you don't know why, your CRM is not going to fix that. That is not an approach you should take. Same with marketing, right? We have all this ad spend and we want attribution. We're going to put a CRM in and we're going to expect that. It's not magic, people. It's a tool, and it can be an absolute cornerstone of your growth strategy. Sales, service, marketing, absolutely can be. But you need to be thoughtful. I go back to your ADKAR process, right? It's going to be a change process. So why are we putting ourselves through this change? And what do we really hope to achieve? Then again, selfishly from a sales perspective, organization has made that decision. I would step back and go, awesome. How am I going to create value to my sales team? How am I going to prove value to my sales team? What role are they going to play in achieving that value? Where are the opportunities for me as a sales leader to take advantage of this? And again, my sales leadership hat starts in coaching. So where are the moments and times and places where this system can really help me coach at the right time, at the right place?
You're listening to RevOps Champions, a podcast created for B2B leaders to help you align your people, streamline your processes, trust your data, and leverage technology in order to grow your business.
Sam, I'm so excited to have you on our RevOps Champions podcast today. Great to have you.
I'm excited to be here, Teresa, and to be interviewed by you today.
Oh, yes, we will have fun. We'll have fun. So, Sam, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about you? You know, at Dynamico, you're a director of business development, but you come here with a lot of experience. So tell the audience about your experience.
Absolutely. So my entire career has been essentially in sales. Everything from starting out as an individual contributor, a hunter, which I loved, sales leader, sales consultant, sales trainer. So every facet within a sales organization, and most recently, a chief revenue officer, which gets you into that ops side of the sales organization.
Very good. Very good. And what about sales was really exciting for you, Sam? Why did you pursue that career?
One, for its flexibility. Two, like any good salesperson, there's above average income. But three, and probably should have started with this one, I'm really curious and I love learning about organizations and finding ways that I can help them do things better. There's no better feeling than that. You do it in your nonprofit work, right? Like bring my skills, my assets, help people do things better, but you can actually do this with corporations. And it's so fun.
Absolutely. I love that. And that's really, one of the reasons why we brought you to Dynamico was to help us grow. And so in that, I'm one of the main things that we wonder about during this podcast and really hypothesize is what sets some companies apart? Why are they able to grow? If you hold all resources the same, why do some companies experience better growth than others? I know you have a point of view on this, Sam.
Yeah, I really do, especially when it comes to sales organizations. So I'm going to answer it from that perspective because that's where most of my experience is. So, I can tell you one thing matters in a sales organization, and it's where all the data is today: coaching. Coaching is what makes the biggest difference. Also, the thing that we spend the least amount of time on. And the reason for that is we need kind of three fundamental things when we're coaching. We need defined sales skills requirements by role. And then we need a training program to support those sales skills. That's one thing we must have to coach. If we don't know that, we can't coach to it. The second thing is methodologies. And these are methodologies that are consistent and adopted by our entire team. Very few sales organizations have a defined and documented sales methodology. So again, how do you coach to something if everybody's doing it differently? You don't have a standard. You can't say, well, here's where it went wrong. And then third is our tools, which is, as everybody knows who listens, that's what we do here is CRM tools. And we need tools that support those behaviors and the things that we're coaching to. But more importantly, we need that data offered up in a timely basis that helps us identify and influences what and where we're coaching.
I love that. You just really talked about, something that we talk about often on this podcast, which is the alignment of the people, the processes, and the systems. And it's with that alignment that businesses are really able to succeed and grow better.
Absolutely. And not any different for sales and essential around the coaching foundation.
You mentioned in the tools, you mentioned the data. One of the things that we've talked about often is that data can really either be an asset or a liability. What do you think about that, Sam?
True. And especially for sales. And the problem is getting data out of sales, right? The organization needs the data for predictive analytics, for performance review, all of those things. But salespeople don't see the value in that, right? And so they're not often encouraged to put the data in. I think that I shared the story with you before, but I'm going to share it with everybody now. I had a client come to me and say, "Hey, we have bad adoption. We're not getting the data we need. We need to capture this data. I have two choices, a carrot or a stick. What should I do?" And my answer was neither. And he's like, "Well, wait a minute. I got to do one or the other. I got to incent them or I got to punish them." Weird words for work, right? Makes you think about being a parent. And I'm like, well, no, neither. What you have to do is back up and find the value in putting data into a CRM. And he's like, how in heaven do I do that? Right? How do I do that? Well, data integrity is important, and we all know that. Data itself is important. We know that. But as a salesperson, why do I care about that? Well, the answer to that is, especially with today's CRMs and all the advanced tools, AI, automated workflows, if we put good data in, we can get real assets, real value out for our sales team. A good example is if I put good data in, I can automate the workflow follow up for a trade show. Salesperson hates getting that trade show list and there's 1,000 people on it, and I don't want to call 1,000 people. We can put them in an automated workflow, and the system can offer up the best clients based on good data. Who are they? What material are they engaging with? What's their industry? How likely they fit our ICP? And it can offer up the best people to call, when to call them, insights on that. Think about getting the 1,000 person list or getting your top 20% as a salesperson. And if I'm getting my top 20%, more likelihood to close, more efficiencies, accelerating my pipeline, hitting my number, how exciting is that? Right? That's the difference is, why do I care about the data, and how am I going to get value out of it? And again, today's CRMs are all about bringing you the value based on the data.
That's great. I want to go back to what you mentioned with this example of the customer, that they had this concept of a carrot or a stick, right? And you said it's really neither. We ought to go back earlier. I find that really interesting. It actually connects to the ADKAR change management model, which we've talked about on this show before. ADKAR is a change management methodology from a company called ProSci. They're a very research-based organization that does global research, publishes a lot of reports on best practices within change management. And the ADKAR model is awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, reinforcement. That's how it spells ADKAR. And it's interesting because when folks often ask the question, is a carrot or a stick? What is that? That's reinforcement. How am I going to reinforce my team? But the thing about the change cycle and the thing about ADKAR is it is sequential. And so you can't jump straight to, how do I reinforce my team? Do I give them a bonus if they enter their data? Do I yell at them if they don't? Do I have a wall of shame or a wall of fame? Which one of those is it? But if we skip all of those earlier steps, it doesn't matter what we do there. And so what you're talking about there, right, going back to the value, going back to the why, that's that really key component in what I would call the awareness and desire section of ADKAR. You have to build that before you move on to even training them, because why would they use a system if they don't know why it's important to them and how it's going to help them?
Yeah, I think it's really important too, is the why is often organizations deploy the technology for organizational needs. We need to capture this data. We need to make sure if somebody departs the organization that we have their client data, the company data, their latest activities. That why is not an incentive to the salespeople. The why is, we're implementing a CRM to make your worlds more joyful, to make you more efficient, to take away those manual tasks, to automate these things, to offer you up the best insights for engagement and next steps. It's all about why they are getting value, how they're going to get value. So even if we have deployed our CRM for organizational data collection, that's not the why for them. And then the desire comes from, I want that. right? And getting them engaged, for instance, with their own performance dashboards. They can actually see their behaviors, right? They can see those manual tasks going away and how much more time they get to spend doing that relationship build, right? That's so exciting for a salesperson. Oh, my behavior, this automation, this data I put in is actually making my world better. And it's really a mind shift from an organizational deployment of technology to what's the impact to my sales team.
Right. And it's the question, what's in it for me, right? What's in it for me? Why the company wants to do this? I understand that they want to have better insight into their data. They want to be able to forecast. But what's in it for me as an individual seller, as an individual person in that company? I think that's really what you're calling out here, Sam, is we have to break it down for our users. It's not just what matters at the organizational level. It's what matters for you, what matters in your role. How is this technology, this process going to help you?
Absolutely, for sure. As salespeople, often, if you asked a salesperson, how do you feel about your CRM? I would bet that 70% of them would say it's a sales deterrent, right? Because it's all about putting data in for data's sake. It's about Big Brother tracking my activity. And again, with the CRMs today, that isn't at all what it's about. Surely it does give your, leadership a view of what do you do. But it shouldn't be about did you do it or what do you do? It should be about why are you more effective than someone else? What are you doing differently? How can we take advantage of that? I would incent ideas for automation and AI integration with my sales team and say, hey, come up with ideas to help your sales team and we'll incent those. Who's got the best practice? Call that out in our weekly sales meetings. Hey, have you guys seen what so and so is doing about this, and making them a hero, as well as demonstrating that a little bit of effort in the CRM can make your job, again, I like the joyful job, and then more efficient and get to those numbers. Because that's all, when we give somebody a new task in sales, every task we give them takes away from the one thing that they're measured by, hitting their quota attainment. And if it isn't helping me do that, you're going to have a hard time convincing me to do that. So convince them by demonstrating to them how the CRM, and let them be part of how the CRM drives to quota attainment.
And on that, Sam, I think you're an avid user of Dynamico's HubSpot CRM in a sales role. You have a quota. And so talk to the audience a little bit about how you find HubSpot CRM helping you in your role. How does it really get you to your quota attainment?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And a client just asked me that the other day
Oh,
in a growth strategy session. And I had to start with, I cannot do my job without it. So somebody would say, how do you know when the CRM is successful? When you get that answer, right? We're a small, mighty team in a fast growing environment. And I have a lot on my plate, as does everybody on our team, but I have a lot of things to keep track of. Right. Today in our team meeting, somebody said, hey, kudos for you for keeping track of all these activities. I can't do that. I don't even know how I would do it without the CRM, because every day I come in, my CRM tells me my tasks for the day. When I go to do that task, I can get insights about that customer. I can get assistance on what are the next best steps based on data that I put into that. If somebody says, hey, can you tell me about so and so? Well, no, not off the top of my head, but let me look at my CRM. It'll take me 1 second. So it's essential to success. It's essential to everyday life. And I can't imagine going back to the old days when we had, Excel spreadsheets. And how would you even keep track of your tasks? You just couldn't. And today's world is pretty fast paced. But it's more about than just the tasks in there. It's about the insights. It's about the automation. I put together in one of my very first weeks here, I put together a sales sequence. I needed to attract a new ideal client profile. I had to create a list. In sales, we can send out emails to lists still, as opposed to marketing with some disclaimers and outs, but it's a little bit more of an advantage. And I had to automate a workflow for over 200 contacts. How in heaven was I going to reach 200 contacts? Well, I was able to create a workflow. I was able to create value based content. I was able to have it run in the background, and I came in and it would tell me what was running that day and what my tasks were that day. And we were able to achieve our goals and getting people to a corporate event, cold new leads to a corporate event. I don't know how that would have happened without the automation in the CRM.
absolutely. That's a great story. You mentioned a few times too, Sam, the power of the insights that are coming out of your CRM. Talk a little bit more about that.
Well, today's CRMs, at least the good ones like HubSpot, offer insights. So as we put information in about our clients, we can ask for additional insights. It can go do market comparisons. It can do insights on the corporation. It can go out and look at their blogs, their newsletters, their news that's being published, and tell us more about the clients. I always have this rule: 3 things in 3 minutes. If I'm going to call a client I haven't talked to in a while, so I can either spend an hour going out and reading all that, or I can ask the CRM for 3 things in 3 minutes and get it, and have something very valuable to address with my client. I can look at the corporation, I can look at them as an individual. What's happening in their world? Where are they publishing? Who are they talking to? What events are they going to? And that is really helpful because it keeps it very personal and gives me something positive to hang my hat on as I'm talking to them about our next adventure together.
And one of the things this makes me think of, at Dynamico, we've really been exploring our industry focus and looking at our ICP. How are you finding that using our HubSpot CRM helps inform that? And what are the insights that you can use there to help inform how we target and how we message out to our ICP?
Absolutely. So I referenced that ICP earlier and building a sequence. From the sequence, I was able to see very quickly what kinds of organizations were responding to our emails, to our thought leadership, to the articles that we were sending out. It can actually offer up who's opening it, how engaged are they with that material, those kinds of things. As we add additional data, then we can get more insights, right? The more data that goes in, the more insights you get. So is it engineering firms? Is it construction firms? Is it design firms? Who in those firms is relating to the message that I'm delivering as I'm delivering out my calls and my emails and my asset sends, the sort of thought leadership sends. And so that informs me if I know that design firms are responding well to a particular piece of thought leadership that I sent out on, for instance, how to improve your client experience and defeat your competition, then I know I can target those groups going forward and I can use that data. It's providing that insight. It can also give me insight not just on the role that's responding, but the type of company that's responding. So again, rather than just shooting in the dark, those insights are directing my targeting and making it easier for me to engage with those who are responding to my messaging.
Oh, that's great. Great. It's, I think in today's day and age, we can't really talk about insights without talking about AI as well. So, Sam, how does AI fit into all of this, and how are you using that right now?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question because sales gets this a lot. Because if you are an informed user, you know that there are AI sales agents out there, and everybody's like, "Oh no, we're going to replace the sales team with AI agents." And I don't think that's what's going to happen. I love AI for its insights. I love its ability to improve communications. Right? I can put in an email template, and I'm tired and I'm exhausted, and I need it to be perfect, and it can learn me, right? For instance, the AEC ICP we were talking about, I can teach it to learn the key things that I focus on in my messaging. I can drop a new article in somebody else's article and say, hey, tie this to my last CRM email communication and use these 3 points and focus on this user that the insights has told me about, this role within the industry, and it can create content for me. Is it perfect? No, I'm still going to edit it and put my voice, but the more I use it, the more it improves on my voice and our brand voice. Think about that. That's weeks worth of work done in minutes. It's so exciting. I think AI is going to make it possible for, again, salespeople to spend their time where they want to spend their time, on relationship building and less on automated tactical administrative tasks. It's going to fill that void. Will we get to a place where AI is doing outbound calls? You know what? On some of those first outbound calls, I think that will be real, and they exist today for that reason. But they're not going to replace the relationship. They're not going to replace the human. And that only makes our jobs as salespeople, again, more joyful. So we can be curious. We can align our solutions with our customers and spend way more time understanding their businesses. And again, the more data we put back in, the better the AI works for us.
I really appreciate the way you just explained that, Sam, because what it really sounds like to me is you're excited about two big things. One is the efficiency that AI will overall bring to your role. but it's really like what you get to do with that extra efficiency. And I think that's where the magic is. And that's where what we're all really excited about brings that joyful part, right? It's what you get to do with that efficiency is focus more on the value add, focus more on the relationships, right? Instead of spending 30 minutes that you would have already not had to just look something up, to put it all together, to research it, to prepare your script before you call that prospect. Now you just get to focus on the prospect and think more about them, think more about how to connect with them, think more about what you pull out of using your human brain, what you pull out of those insights to tie it together for the prospect and for our customers. That's what I'm really excited about with AI. It's the efficiency, yes, but it's what that efficiency brings, what that efficiency allows all of us to have.
Yeah, any salesperson would tell you they do not love their administrative tasks. If you love administrative tasks, you're not a salesperson. Sorry, and it definitely does free you up for not just the things you enjoy more, but the higher level alignment, the higher level thinking, the higher level participation with your clients, and that's what we all seek. I think everybody knows the statistic: a salesperson spends less than 2 hours a day actually engaged with their clients. What if we flip that? What if we had, 5 hours a day actually engaging with clients and 2 hours a day on administrative tasks? What would happen to our world if we could do that?
Amazing. I think it's coming. I think
I
that's
think
next.
it is too. I
Just
think it
very
is too. And AI, workflow automation, AI, all the insights it gets from that, all the tasks that it can complete, that's where it's going to come from. So we as sales organizations should be shouting hallelujah and adopting everything we can.
That's great. I'm right there with you. I want to bring us back, Sam, to how we opened this, which was, your point of view that sales coaching is really, really critical and is one of the most important things to get right in order for a company to meet their revenue goals, their targets, and then really scale and grow. So I want to come back to this. We spent a lot of time talking about the tools, about the data, the importance of the CRM. How does that also fit in with the overall processes and with the skill sets? Talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, so we'll start with again those three principles of coaching. We need defined sales skills, and then the sales training to support that. Again, there are ways to build that map into your CRM. And so as we're looking at funnels, as we're looking at workflows, how is one rep doing better, and where are they doing better? And we can use that to influence our coaching on our methodologies and our workflows and our processes. If we have a documented process for sales, we can again build that into our CRM, and we can find exact moments where we need to coach.
Can you
For
give an
those
example of that, right? Where are those exact moments and how would you get to that? Because I think there's a lot of power in that.
Right. And you can find out about adoption. So I have one rep that's doing great in a particular targeted market, and another rep who's not. And you go in and look at their processes and their workflows and what they're using. What you likely will find, someone has dropped off on the methodology. So you go, okay, there's my coaching moment. This methodology was adopted for a reason. We put it in here for a reason. We know its success rate, again, based on that data and insights we're getting from the CRM. And so you're going to find that they're usually not using the methodology, or they're using the methodology. For instance, I'll give you an example of objection resolution, right? Objections come up in everything. A good sales rep will plan their objection resolution. I'm going into any meeting, but let's say a closing meeting. Here are the objections I'm going to get. I'm going to run this resolution. I'm going to plan for that. If you go into your CRM, a successful sales rep will likely have done those in advance, and you will not see those for the one that did not have a successful negotiation. So, coaching moment, or they did them and you can review what they did and they just kind of missed the point, or they missed kind of some key objections, or they couldn't find the resolution. Again, another coaching opportunity.
So in how you're describing this, Sam, it sounds to me like the CRM is the glue to hold those three principles of your coaching together. Is that correct?
It absolutely is. Imagine this. You're probably not old enough, Teresa, to remember this, but we used to have to do this manually. And so today's CRM is doing work that would have taken us weeks and months. I think about scaling teams. I think about sales managers. They're talking right now. The biggest news in sales is they're going to flatten sales leadership. right? And so that means each sales leader is going to have more people underneath them. In the past, you could manage six, maybe eight people because you had to do all this manually. Show me your work. I'd have to go identify where it is. I'd have to see it, pull it apart on paper, talk to you about it. I can now just ask for a report out of CRM on this, right? And more importantly, the salesperson can monitor their own performance and their own activities and say, wow, I'm falling off over here. Well, guess what? You didn't do objection resolution on your last three deals, right? Maybe you should get back to that, right? Those are things that we can do. So, I think as we flatten sales leadership organizations, we're going to say CRM being the glue more. Again, as I have to coach now, instead of six or eight people, 20 people, I better get insights very quickly on their performance and where my opportunities are. And I don't want them after the fact, I want them in real time. Right. So I see CRM getting to this point where, hey, sales rep A is going into a meeting and this workflow is not done. You need to go talk to them before they get into that sales meeting, not after the fact. So think about that just as and I don't know why we're flattening. I don't know. There's a lot of theories out there about that. But as we do flatten, we're going to need these tools to do way more for a sales leader. And again, we want it real time, not after the fact.
Sam, I think everyone listening to this is going to be jumping up and down. And if they're not already on a CRM, they're going to say they want to be on a CRM, right? Because of the way that it's really changing how we sell, how we add value, how we connect with our customers, with our prospects. If you were to talk to customers, I know you do this often, talk to folks who are thinking about implementing a CRM for the first time, maybe changing from an older CRM into a newer one. What are some of the things that you think companies really need to determine and assess as they are making that technology decision?
I think the first one is, why are you doing this? Right? What is motivating you? And usually there is something. Competition is stronger, right? We're losing to our competition. Sales are harder. And frankly, sales are harder everywhere. Sales has moved from being the fact providers to trusted advisor and thought leader. How do you get everyone in your team to thought leadership, right? So, what is your motivation for this? That's step one. What is really driving you here? Because if you don't know what's driving you here, you don't know what you need to set up in your CRM. So that's first and foremost. A lot of times people think I hear this a lot. My sales team is awful. I need a CRM. Well, if your sales team is awful and you don't know why, your CRM is not going to fix that, right? That is not an approach you should take. Same with marketing, right? We have all this ad spend and we want attribution, so we're going to put a CRM in and we're going to expect that. It's not magic, people. It's a tool and it can be an absolute cornerstone of your growth strategy. Sales, service, marketing absolutely can be, but you need to be thoughtful. I go back to your ADKAR process, right? It's going to be a change process. So why are we putting ourselves through this change? And what do we really hope to achieve? Then again, selfishly from a sales perspective, organization has made that decision. I would step back and go, awesome. How am I going to create value to my sales team? How am I going to prove value to my sales team? What role are they going to play in achieving that value? Where are the opportunities for me as a sales leader to take advantage of this? And again, my sales leadership hat starts in coaching. So, where are the moments and times and places where this system can really help me coach at the right time, at the right place, instead of after the fact? And sometimes I don't even have observation because I'm not there, right? We can now record sales meetings and I can audit those, but AI can audit those and pull out the key points. And if you ask it, you can get some key failure points, right? And then I don't have to listen to a 60-minute recording. I can get, here's the highlights, and I can tell it I'm looking for this. And so I really think it's really breaking down, why are we doing this? What do we hope to get out of it? Where can we find the most value? And how can we ensure adoption? Because as you know, that's part of your key mantra. Adoption is key. Without it, we don't have that data for predictive analytics, how to go to market, what our strategy should be, who our clients should be, who our targets should be. We just don't get it without adoption. And so those are the things that I would definitely focus on. And they step way back. What are my business goals? What are the things that I'm measuring to drive those business goals? What are the tactics I'm using to get to those KPIs? And then how is my CRM going to align to that?
And that's for customers that are thinking about a CRM for the first time. What advice would you have for folks that have been on a CRM for a while? Maybe their adoption is slipping. Maybe they're not really sure where to go, where to start, but they've got big growth goals. What would you recommend to those types of customers?
Well, I'll be perfectly honest. I make that recommendation to new clients, but the ones on CRM today have that exact same issue. We spend a lot of time here at Dynamico talking to our customers about one, having a solid implementation, a successful implementation. And then there's the onboarding ramp, right? We're just trying to get everybody happy and using it and seeing the value. And then we move to efficiency, right? Now let's start looking for those efficiencies. And then we move to new opportunities, right? New ways to use it, things we didn't think about, advanced applications. And then somewhere down the road, we get to CRM optimization. So our client base, our existing client base, and customers we talk to who have implemented CRM with someone else have all that opportunity in front of them. It really is the same conversation. Most of the time, again, we implement because our sales team's terrible. We have this marketing spend and we want to track it, right? There's like a quick hit reason we're doing this, and we miss the larger opportunity. And so we at Dynamico really get to spend a lot of our time working with our clients to kind of see that larger, more strategic path to take them. That I always say, CRM ROI is not when you've paid for the system, but when the system is actually driving growth. That's when you know you have true ROI. And people are like, "Ooh, I love that." And I'm like, "Yeah, we're making t-shirts."
We should make those t-shirts. And I think to your point, then that's impossible without adoption, right? It all
Exactly.
comes back to the people. Comes back to the people.
Right. And we can't get the people unless they're aware, unless they buy in, right? They see the value in it. They see what's in it for me. It's a human condition, I guess, right? And then we do give them the tools they need to adopt, right? One of the things that I was going to talk about when we were talking about the three things in coaching that we need, what happens whenever like you're scaling a team, that is where you get hit with the gaps in your training, right? It exposes where you think you have a documented process or a methodology and it's really not working. And that's when you really get a good look at how is it really being adopted in the system. And not, people go, "Oh, it's so scary and scaling a team. That's the first thing that's going to happen." But we need to look at that as a continuous improvement opportunity. And that's how I think we need to coach our customers to look at CRM. It's continuous improvement. You know, the tools continue to grow and enhance. Just this year, HubSpot has added AI agents in sales, marketing, and service. That is a huge change. You know, enhanced data and data enrichment, that's a new change. And that comes from outside your CRM. How exciting is that? Talk about more data, more for the AEC industry and any ICP you're on. That's exciting stuff. How are you going to take advantage of that? Never stop looking at how your CRM can be improved and optimized to help you grow your business.
Really treating that CRM like it's a part of your team, quite frankly, right? And it is something that you have to constantly be looking at.
Absolutely. And you never give up on your teams, right? We coach, we encourage, we train.
And the way that we were maybe working with the team member 5 years ago is pretty different, right? You expect that they grow, they evolve. And I think the same thing is happening with our tools, with our systems. They're growing, they're evolving. Right.
Exactly.
Sam, what else would you like to share with our audience here?
Well, that's an interesting question. Again, I'm taking the sales approach because that's my background, and I definitely want to reinforce that coaching is important, but we need those three components, and that's no different than what we need from our CRM, right? It's people, process, technology. One does not exist without the other, and in fact, they're becoming so aligned. I would also like to encourage everybody again to step back and look at your business. What are your goals? What are your KPIs? What are your tactics? And then make sure your CRM is aligned. and make sure any technology rolled out has a value proposition to the people you're asking to use it, so you get that adoption. Because without it, it's just another tool. And we all have plenty of those.
Well, Sam, I want to thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of RevOps Champions. It was a great opportunity to learn more from you. I always enjoy working with you and hearing your insights. So thank you for joining us. Sam, anything that you want to just say to close out here?
No, just thank you so much. It's always fun talking about sales organizations, talking about Dynamico, and talking about how our clients are really teaching us how to maximize their CRM environments. Thank you for having me.
Terrific. Thank you, Sam.